This is a very famous formula in physics. Specifically, it tells the relationship between distance, speed, and time. This is the same formula, but with the letters being represented differently. Why do we end up with two formulas? What's the difference? Which one's better? These questions and more will be answered in today's episode of Random Thoughts. Yes, I know you all are very confused. You might have never known that there's two. First of all, you may notice the letter S is used in two different contexts. If you convert this equation to a formula triangle, we get this. Now, why is S at the bottom here, which means it's part of the product, but the S is at the top here, which means it is defined by the product? What does each of these letters mean anyway? The T, which is in common for both formulas, stands for time, as you may have guessed already. But what about D? It could stand for two things, but both mean similar things. The first means distance, which in physics means the amount of ground covered by an object in motion. However, the latter is displacement, which means how far an object is from its starting point. But you can tell both mean pretty much the same thing in the context of these formulas. V stands for velocity. Then what does S stand for? Well, in the formula D equals st, it is speed. But in the formula S equals vt, it is three things. Distance, wait, hold on. Shouldn't that stand for D as well? That's the part I don't get. Why change something in the formula to another that already exists in the same formula? Basically, S is already speed in the first formula. Why is it distance or displacement on second? To be honest, I'm not really sure. Apparently there's one more word in physics that is a culprit of this whole saga: shift. And a lot of Korean teachers argue, especially in middle school, the fact that the reason it is S is because it's a common letter in all three words. But doesn't this cause ambiguity and will confuse everyone coming from different cultures and education? And how did I find out about this anyway? Well, I'm a Korean living and studying abroad, and since I have to return to my home country at some point, I better learn the Korean curriculum too, alongside the British one. In the UK, Year 7 physics gets you learn the formula triangle D equals ST. In Korea though, Grade 7 math gets you learn the formula triangle speed equals distance over time. They do not even mention any shorthands or letters in the slightest. They just use Korean words. And I saw the grade 9 science textbook in Korea in the forces and motion topic, and I saw, well, the same thing. Then who even said S equals VT in the first place? Well, it was one of those Korean lectures for the same exact textbook from the same exact publisher. The teacher in the lectures stated that we use these letters, S equals VT. We don't know where it came from, but there it is. I asked my aunt, who studied physics all the way up to high school, and I think up to university, but I'm not sure. She said that it was also taught D equals ST in her school, just like the UK curriculum when she was younger. But she later said it might have been D equals VT. Hold on a second, D equals VT? That's a completely new way of writing it. The three formulas? How split is the world? Well, I looked all three up on Google Trends. Note that Korea won't be on the list, as since basically none of the population uses Google. They use another Korean search engine called Naver. Not that Google is banned on the list or anything, just that people prefer it for some reason. This is the result for Korea. D equals ST was on top for a while. That's probably why my aunt remembers it. She graduated high school in 1992, and that's probably why. And this is the result for the UK. D equals ST is dominating. And finally, the data from the US. Pure domination over the West. Clearly, data shows that another countries prefer D equals ST. See the worldwide data here. So where the heck did S equals VT come from? Is it just that one lecture? So I scoured the internet for more sources confirming this theory to see if anyone else has found any answers. And No source even seems to acknowledge the coexistence of the two formulas, inside or outside of Korea, but the ambiguity is still there. There exists lots of problems from having three formulas for something that can be expressed via one. S equals vt might as well be speed equals velocity times time, but we don't multiply velocity and time to get speed, we get distance. The biggest problem is the ambiguity of the letter S. If you only had two formulas, namely d equals st and d equals vt, there'd be no ambiguity, but because of the S equals vt formula, things get a lot more confusing with communication. Learners stuck in between two curriculums like me may not know what to do. So which one's best? D equals st and d equals vt depending on the situation. Speed and velocity in physics are very different things. However, there is still no ambiguity, and the only replaced thing in the formula is the s and v. If you still really wanted to use S equals vt for some reason, the whole world must only use that formula. No formula mentioned in D or any other definition of S must be used to prevent confusion. Like many things, this situation cannot be changed, but it is still a problem that's not very known. Hopefully this video makes it more known. Please share this video. I'm not saying this for popularity. This needs to be a better known situation in the physics field. The fact that no one's complaining doesn't make it less of a problem. Anyways, thanks for watching.